There we go.
I have a Zach I could. Oh, do I? Yes. Okay. Let's make this a bit. Let's make this a bit.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, we're live. Yank and Kiwi podcast. Dinte, do you have any idea what episode we're at currently? Because I've lost track.
No, it's pretty silly to ask if I've kept track as well, because I sure don't.
Well, thanks for having
you're pretty much right. Okay, and yeah, as always, I'm your host, Brett, the handsome and charismatic one, and of course, filling in for Sam.
I'm the I just turn off every week.
Yeah, and of course, joining us we have #1 Marmaduke fan.
Hey, gang. I think I actually did a real face reveal there earlier, but this is totally what I look like in real life.
And Nerd Wonder. Say hi.
Hi there, I'm Will Wheaties. I'm just kidding, guys. It's me.
Yeah. So yeah. So we actually have a cool episode this week because I was going back and forth with the genesis of this episode. I was back and forth with Nerd Wonder over on Twitter.
Huh.
What happened was I think you RT'd someone making a meme out of you.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you mean the Sarah the Huckabee Sanders meme?
Yes, someone put your face on it, and
they were like, "This is the face of you." Yeah, feels good now, and I'm like, I'm an official in a political power.
No.
Yeah. I was just saying, I'm like, you guys gotta try harder because this ain't. This sucks.
I remember ages ago, before I knew what your character looked like, I just imagined it was like a floating circle with a face on it. That was like one of the first pieces of fan art I did of your channel.
Yes. I still am drawing a Marmaduke.
Nice.
I love your channel so much, dude. I love it.
That's cool. So So I didn't know this. This started as a debate between you two on what
it was. It wasn't really a debate. It was just a back and forth we had. I think what happened was Nerd Wonder. I think what happened was you asked if memes counted as art.
Yeah, I always said, and I think I've said this a few times on my channel, is that give it 20 years from now, art books in history, art history books and so forth, and like little scholars are going to be studying memes. I swear, Pepe the Frog is going to be on the front page of these chapters of like the informational age. May we present Pepe, one of the most controversial memes of its time, representing silence.
They're already starting to put Pepe in like college lectures on the alt-right and stuff like that.
That's retarded.
Well, I guarantee you they get half of everything they teach about the alt-right in universities is wrong.
I bet it's still like with that, like the OK symbol is an alt-right thing. Like, and give it 20 years, if finally people realize it's a meme, we're going to find out that Pepe is going to be in an art book and he will represent like being silenced and being censored and so forth. So all the edgy kids are going to be wearing Pepe shirts.
I think it's interesting how meme culture hasn't been, it's been around for a few years, but you can already sort of identify, oh yeah, this meme came from this year, like 2008 memes, are all lolcats and animal macro pictures with like rainbow colors behind them or something.
Oh yeah, you can list that off, can't you?
And there are even people who will do like meta memes of like, oh, this was the popular meme of January. This was the popular meme of February.
Yeah, I've seen image macros of those. Like someone like basically put a meme calendar together.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, I love those. They did a whole entire thing, and yeah, like Uganda Knuckles, like all everywhere. You right?
That wasn't that. Oh my god, that was a riot.
That was a riot. I don't care what anybody says. That was funny as hell when it started up. Especially what made it 10 times better was that what was it? Polygon posted a part of a webcomic that was like a guy shushing somebody and go, let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of pictures of this one person going, I'm gonna go save this for the moment we're going to need it, because we are going to. And then, of course, just 3 days later, they write an article about how Ugandan Knuckles is wrong and hate crime or something. And
like someone like, I listen to Ben Shapiro's podcast sometimes, and he tends to de-emphasize the importance of memes, but I kind of see memes as they really test the boundaries of what you can say and get away with, which makes them important because it's like that's the canary in the coal mine, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys were talking about this, and you tagged me into your it like fate, because when I was in the nice art school, the one that taught me real traditional good skills, I wrote my thesis paper on memes, and I connected it with the history of art. And this is back in, I think, 2010, like the height of YouTube poop years. And
oh my God, Dinte, you remember back when those were a thing, don't you?
YouTube poop. Oh God, Christ.
Zelda CDI and the Mario CDI games.
Oh man, that was back back when YouTube was still new, like back in between 2005 2007. Those were everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So the idea I had was, if you look at old avant-garde artists, a lot of them would do really silly and ridiculous stuff. But they would do things like they would take old paintings, or they'd take photographs, and they'd cut them up and paste them on top of each other and add some irreverent humor. My favorite one is Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, but with a little mustache painted on.
Oh, the Dada.
Yeah, exactly, Dada. So my idea was essentially, and I'm not the only one who's come up with this. I've seen a few people write this basic idea that, oh, okay, these old school, Dada artists, back in, World War I to World War II days, they did sort of weird and silly art, mashing up stuff together. And meme culture generally, the trait of it is you've got like silly pictures, you've got silly movie clips, and you cut it apart and paste it back together, and you get your meme. So that was sort of just I think I stretched it out into like 6 pages of art speak, but if I could get it down to a sentence, I pretty much said, yeah, what's brilliant about these old Dada artists is they kind of predicted what we would be making today, because they were sort of playing around and seeing what they could get away with.
I can kind of see that because, what was the name of that guy? Marcel Duchamp, I think.
Duchamp,
yeah, he was the guy who just wrote his name on a urinal and submitted it to a gallery, because they didn't really put any limitations on what you could and couldn't submit to it.
And
wasn't he the guy that wanted to prove that modern art was a joke or something? So he made up something, just not even trying, and he got like $5 million for it.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think there was an element of them, like tweaking the noses of the art establishment a bit. And I forget the artist's name. It was an Italian guy, but he literally put poop in these canisters and he sealed them. And I think the point of it was supposed to be a joke. It was like, just because you put this in, a beautiful white museum space, that doesn't make it art. And then, of course, art critics wanted to write, really fanciful essays about the subject. So these jokes over time became the new standard for art. So I actually like the weird old avant-garde artists, because they were just so bold and so funny. But then they became what every student, that's what you're supposed to imitate and strive to be.
Look, I'll be honest, it just sounds like a bunch of hipsters just missed the fucking joke.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I talk about SGW Art School on my channel a lot, to the point it's kind of become a running joke. But I would have classmates do dangerous stuff just because they read about this performance artist who would like nail himself to a car or stuff himself into a locker at an art gallery. And so kids will sometimes do really stupid things because they're shown this really shocking, edgy stuff from the past, and that's presented as this is what you will respond to or take inspiration from. So I think, since we're talking about our memes art, one thing that might be interesting is what do we mean by art? Do we mean like, are they things people make that are kind of interesting? Is that what we mean by art? Or are they, I don't know, high art in the sense that we might look at something really beautiful and say that is a work of art as kind of the highest praise for it?
I don't know. I guess if I was going by what my personal definition of art is, it's that good art exists to inspire the soul, basically.
Yeah, it brings out an emotion and so forth, and an understanding and a meaning to it, and that's what a meme does in a way. It has meaning.
I can see that. I mean, but it seems memes are more exist to provoke a reaction,
Which is
there's a you were gonna say, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying or an emotion, but yeah.
I guess, but the way I'm looking at it, it's like the difference between like satire and it's like the difference between A Modest Proposal and Lord of the Rings.
Okay. I got you. They're both really good forms of writing. It's very hard to write satire that's effective as A Modest Proposal, but it's a different.
Well, I can name one. Men Are Better Than Women by Dick Masterson.
I think I've heard of that. I haven't read it yet. No. All right. Okay.
Anyone else giggling that just saying the name got Nerd Wonder chuckling.
His name is Dick.
So is Dick Grayson. All right, so what I'm hearing is kind of nerd. You see memes as kind of having an emotional significance to them. And
yeah.
Brett, go ahead.
No, continue.
All right, and so when Brett, I think the Modest Proposal distinction is helpful because that's two different purposes of where both of those are writing, right? Where I would say if I write a fanfic that's totally not Lord of the Rings, and I say once upon a time there was an elf named Mr. Elferson, that's not even me engaging seriously enough for that to be called literature. I could joke, okay, that's an example of literature, right? Because I've got a character, and then once upon a time he fell down a well and died. There we go. I've got a beginning, a middle, and an end.
It technically fills the technical terms, the technical definition, I suppose. Yeah,
but it doesn't have enough substance or seriousness that we would we wouldn't treat that little joke story as a work of literature that we pick apart.
No.
But what I kind of agree with Nerd Wonder on, though, is that I do think that memes are going to be taken seriously by future generations because they're going to be seen as sort of how do you represent the political discourse of such and such time. And that doesn't necessarily make them art. It just means that when we look at, I don't know, Richard Nixon's time and Tricky Dick, people will say I'm not a crook. They'll remember I'm not a crook as the quote from Richard Nixon that kind of represents the Watergate scandal. So when 20 years from now people look down on what the heck the 2016 election was, I think that Pepe the Frog is going to be something that stands out as, oh, well, we should talk about this. This sort of represents an aspect of what was going on in people's minds back then. And I don't know the answer to this, but is that enough for us to say Pepe the Frog is a work of art yet? If people in the future find it significant?
It's definitely made an impact. That cannot be taken away from it. But as far as saying that Pepe is art, I mean, I look at memes they're just another form of internet satire, because because the key thing with satire is that it provokes a visceral reaction, and good memes, they get that visceral gut reaction out of you.
It's taking humor down to the most immediate kind of idea. Sometimes a joke can be pretty long and complex, but for a meme, you've got to get it down to a picture and a few sentences, which limits you. But if you can work within those limits, you can really have a good snapper that has impact. What are some good examples of our favorite memes? Because that might help prompt it. Because they're
Virgin Chad. I go with the Virgin Chad. I love that one.
Virgin Chad. Nice.
Yes.
Yes. That's a good one. I'd probably have to go with that one as well when I really think about it.
I like
Virgin Chad, Dinte?
Are we only doing the new ones? Are we currently just sticking to current ones and then going to move backwards?
I'm okay. I'm okay with any time frame. We could. I'm okay hopping back and forth in time.
Hey, I guess whatever one comes to mind, I suppose.
What I like about Virgin Chad is they're all a similar joke of like this thing is cool and that thing is uncool, but all of them relate to kind of a real life pattern. Like we've all seen a real life example of the Virgin and the Chad, and so then it's really easy to once you've got that silly picture, which is really funny, the Chad just looks so ridiculous. Then you apply that to, I don't know, whatever it is you're making fun of. Like I made one with Diversity in Comics as Chad and me as Virgin because he's so much better at ripping comic books. It's like you capture that same energy from the original Goofy drawing, and then you apply it to something new that you like.
Yeah, I know. I did that same thing with Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse. In this case, the Virgin was the vampire, and the Chad was the werewolf.
Yeah.
I gotta play the Werewolf Apocalypse. That means I could use some good shit.
I've got a whole YouTube series about that.
I saw, and I was like, ooh, I know what I'm watching. But I don't know. I love all the Virgin Chads, especially when they're stuff like there's a lot of comic book versions I've seen running around.
Yeah.
Like America Chavez versus, Virgin America Chavez versus Chad New Superman.
Yes, I got New Superman because of that meme.
It's such a good book, isn't it?
Yes, I really enjoyed it.
This is not the one Bendis is writing, right?
No. New Superman is about a Superman from China. Like China decides we want to make our own Superman.
What?
Yeah, you heard that right, Dinte.
He's like, it makes him stand out. He's totally different. And yeah, there's Superman, but this guy's from China and he just deals with the Justice League of China. It's not like they interact like when Spider-Man has 6 Spider-Men running around in the same New York City.
Oh, no. God. At that
actually,
point, like, what's the point?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, guys, either make a few of these people move, or you need to stop making these many Spider-Man. In fact, don't make this many Spider-Man. We have to kill them all.
That should be a novelty at best. Like you have one issue where the Spider-Men all get together and have a fight, but they should live in their own universe, essentially, or not interact with each other that much.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, the thing. But yeah, back on the Virgin Chat thing, and yeah, just I think one of the funniest ones I've ever come across was, what was it? One of my favorites was Virgin Conservative Chad Fascist.
That's a spicy one.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What the heck?
I'll pull it up right now. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can pull that up right now because it is pretty damn funny.
All right.
Yes, Dinte?
No, I was just saying all right.
What do you guys think about? I don't know who else has argued this, but I first heard it from Sargon of Akkad. He's kind of argued that things like the Kekistan meme, the point of those isn't supposed to be to say, "Hey, we're Nazis, ha ha ha! Aren't we cool because we're Nazis?" The point of memes like that is to kind of use Nazis for shock value. And it's sort of like the Nazi salute pug. The whole point of the Nazi salute pug is that he's having a laugh about how awful that is. So that's really a joke at the expense.
No, he was doing that to annoy his girlfriend.
Right.
No, but he said what everybody points out is he said he wanted to make his pug the ugliest thing ever, and the ugliest thing he could think of was a Nazi. So in other words, he's saying Nazis are bad.
Right.
And yet they're like, no, he's a hate crime. For what? Saying Nazis are terrible?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm pulling it up right now, by the way. I'm going to screen share this. Bitch, it's funny.
Yay.
Oh, let's have a look-see.
For what? Oh, no, I can't now.
The Virgin Conservative, the Chad Fascist, and he's got the fast case.
Yeah.
Can you read off
the Constitution? Yep. Virgin Conservative reads the Constitution, listens to Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck. My money, my rights, doesn't even lift. Business and privacy. Israel's our greatest ally. Poor farm. slouches and is undisciplined and sloppy. Am I being detained? Wears running shoes or sneakers. Chad fascist. Reads Mosley, Powell, and Rockwell. Listens to Jordan Peterson and TRS. My people. Blood and soil. My civic duty. Goes to the gym 9 days a week. How? Israel must be destroyed. Highly disciplined with immaculate posture. How can I help you, officer? Wears steel-toed leather boots or dress shoes.
What the hell is this?
So I read part of the humor of these kind of memes, I think, is it's hard to tell, is that a fascist being unironic, or is that someone who is making fun of the sort of the neo-fascist type? Like they're two.
Well, this is why I come back to the whole satire part, because satire is essentially a shit test. Because the thing, like, you remember, like, with A Modest Proposal, like, the big conceit of that book is that Jonathan Swift is making the case that for the Irish to solve their hunger problem, they should sell their children to be eaten by the upper-class British people.
Right, and he's writing in a very academic, posh style. So that's what tricks you into thinking he's serious. It's like having it's like a comedian having a deadpan expression while saying the most atrocious things. The humor lies in how you have such a good poker face. You're not even hinting that this is just a silly joke.
Here's the thing: do you want to know what gives it away that it's satire, that it's a joke? It's the title, A Modest Proposal.
Right. A little bit of a cue. What's kind of interesting about this is we started by asking, are memes art? And now it's kind of like, what makes a meme a meme? Like, how good do you have to be at satire to be an effective meme maker? Because satire is a big element of it. But there's also, I also kind of see it as, it's a little bit like saying, may the force be with you, right after you've seen Star Wars, is you're kind of hinting that you're part of a group of people who like this thing. If you like My Hero Academia, you make My Hero Academia memes. If you like the Lost.jpg comic, you make subtle allusions to Lost, that kind of thing.
Sorry, I just am memorizing Lost.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a guy named Justin Wang. He actually made a video about the history behind that comic.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I must see that, because I love that, like, it's just the meme itself is just the lines of how the scene is displayed and the people in the scene are displayed. That's it. And you know immediately at times what it is.
Yeah. By the way, HBG Wellscraft says in the chat, smiley face.
I love HBG Wellscraft. He's a cool guy.
He's a great guy. I like his art.
He's working on a comic called Captain Kekistan that I'm interested in. So.
Oh no, that sounds like it's going to be a work of satirical art.
Right.
It's pretty good. I mean, he's got Trash Bird and Mega Girl and Captain Kekistan, which I think is Pepe.
And he's got a good cartoon style for that kind of thing in it. Like, all the characters look funny. I bag on Squirrel Girl a lot because I don't look at the Squirrel Girl drawings and say, hey, this is funny. I should laugh at this. But who was it? There was a great artist that Marvel got for Not Brand Eck, who had a lovely sort of Mickey Mouse Disney style that was perfect for cartoon comedy books. If you want to draw a funny comic, it's good for your characters to have that funny appeal to them. And I think that helps memes succeed or fail, is if the original picture is funny or looks silly, that helps give it some legs for people to make fun of later.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but yeah, that goes without saying. Although kind of another thing I think which is worth bringing up as to the art debate is, like, good art goes without saying, it stands the test of time. Like, we've still got, like, the Mona Lisa has been around for, like, how long again?
He painted it in 1505 in France. So where are we at now? 500 years to get us to 2005. 500 and about 515 years or so, yeah.
Yeah, that thing, yeah, but the thing with memes is, like, these things, they're, a lot of the time, they're kind of a flash in the pan.
Right. to the point that we'll sometimes make fun of how flash in the pan they are. Like the butterfly one. Is this a pigeon? That was a thing in 2011, and then again in 2018. And you know, like cat memes are dead, and the animal image macros are dead.
Somehow I doubt Nerd Wonder agrees with that sentiment.
I don't. We
Really?
Sad cat or whatever. Oh wait, no, that's not macro, but that new cat meme with the sad eyes.
Well, I was just gonna say, knowing you, you're just gonna push out cat memes even if they're dead or not.
Shut up! It's not dead. It's a new one. It's the one where they like usually make it into a baked potato, and it's like crying. It's like this weird baked potato cat, and it's like always crying. And I'm like, Jesus. That's like the new meme, is to make cats look like they're crying.
I like content-aware scaling cats because that produces a really unusual image that still looks a little bit like a cat. Do you guys know what that is, content-aware scaling?
I feel like I do, but it's not ringing a bell.
Slowly distort it till it's nothing.
Yeah, it's a Photoshop tool it's supposed to have something to do with like fixing a photo. But if you use it and like crank it up, you'll like break a photo and make it look like an acid trip kind of thing, but you'll still be able to recognize things in it. So content aware scaled cats, they just look like freaky little monsters, but they're still clearly cats.
I think I might have an idea what you're talking about, because I've seen like memes on Facebook from pages like Pagan Gang, where they just take like, where they'll just throw all this filter shit onto like, say, a painting of the Last Supper, and of course it's supposed to be a meme taking the piss out of Christians for being crypto-Zionists.
Right. So Brett, you asked like, will memes stand the test of time? And I think that's an important aspect to what I like in art. Like, I want to make art that will have meaning after I'm gone. But maybe something that might be interesting for this is the only reason I got into SJW Art School is because I made a lot of memes during my last time in a traditional studio art school. And then I submitted examples of memes to the SJW Art School. They didn't like my painting or drawing that much, but I got admitted on the basis of my memes.
Oh my God, that is so weird.
Now that's an epic trolling.
Well, it should have been a little bit of a warning sign to me, because then once I'm there, I was in a really bizarre environment for the whole time I was at SJW Art School. And I think because they're postmodern, like sort of the old school concerns, like I want my painting to be beautiful. I want my painting to have meaning. I want my painting to take hard work. Those are all out the door. So it's really how shocking or edgy or progressive can you be? And because of that, I think that it's really hard to tell what the future of the art world is going to be. Maybe they will be putting memes in the MoMA or whatever, because
the Louvre.
Right. Oh, I think.
Go ahead. I never say never, because you guys know who Hirohiko Araki is?
Yep.
Help me out.
He's the creator for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Okay, yeah.
His work has actually been featured in the Louvre.
Really?
What? That's awesome. Wait, I think I have heard that the Louvre is now putting manga in there.
If to my knowledge, he's the only manga artist to have actually gotten that. Might have changed.
Yep.
Now, that's something I don't mind too much, because I see, well, Araki's a good example of this, but I kind of see the manga style in general as like, it's really good comic art. It's really vibrant. It's really energetic.
I'm gonna say, man, if you think that's good, you should look up Franco-Belgian comics. Those are gorgeous.
I know some, yeah. And in like in France, some of those Franco-Belgian comics are a phenomenon that dwarfs the American comic scene. Like,
oh, are you kidding? They got comic shops out in France and Belgium that are 2 stories tall.
Yeah. Like, we need a little bit of that magic to spark back into at a time where people are obsessed with superhero movies. You'd think that there'd be a lot of interest in this kind of stuff.
There would be, except what the hell do we get? We get Squirrel Girl with communism is good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, by the way, right, here I got the ultimate Virgin Chad meme.
Yes.
Virgin Squirrel Girl. Chad Muscular Beaver.
Oh my god, I remember that! Muscular Beaver!
I don't remember that.
It's Angry Beavers. The Angry Beaver had that was Daggett's his like whole entire thing was he would dress up as a superhero just wearing a really big puffy jacket and he called himself Muscular.
Everybody. See?
Muscular Beaver. And Norbert like and then his supervillain type became like a good guy. Like they redrew him to be a good guy kind of thing, and he had his
Yes, it was fucking funny. And like I said, the joke was okay, Squirrel Girl tries to be funny and is just annoying. Daggett is intentionally annoying to everyone around him, and it's hilarious.
It's so good because he's just using stupid like superhero things too.
Yeah. In fact, also one of the points for Chad Muscular Beaver has to be identity is so secret, not even he knows it.
Oh yeah, that was like a thing.
What's kind of interesting about this is balance, because Squirrel Girl has it's so silly kind of moments, superhero stupid stuff, but it's about tone, and I think writers have to think about that a lot because it's easy to say I want to make a satire, and it's hard to balance your sense of humor with I don't know, having like a story with some real heart. I'm going to make a video about how Wanpool balances this by Mr. Marvel, because he has a sort of silly superhero world that's making fun of some of the tropes of superheroes. Then he combines that with Wanpool going on a journey and sort of becoming a hero. And I think he makes it work because it's like Squirrel Girl, the point is, ha ha ha, we're dumb. And Wanpool is adding over the top nutty stuff to a story about a man who's like having his world fall apart. So it's really weird. It's like having some gravity and some seriousness actually makes crazy, silly humor work better, I think.
Oh, that's because you get a contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's nothing but joke after joke after joke after joke, eventually you just find yourself getting desensitized to it. I mean, like even like South Park at its grossest and most vulgar could still have heartfelt moments.
Yeah, they always that was always a wonderful thing about South Park. It was like even in the grossest of episodes, they still hold true to the characters and everything else that goes on.
Yeah.
So Brett, you write. Tell us a little bit. Like, do you have much humor in your books? How do you like look at your work and say, am I balancing my humor? Like, how meta do you get about thinking humor in your own work?
Well, it's Changeling, like considering I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a tweet I put out which was basically me spelling out, I only could use 4 images because that's all Twitter gives you, but I just had 4 images to use, and it was basically me spelling out what I considered Changeling's lineage to be. And it was Bleach, Fooly Cooly, Celtic Mythology, and Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. So
you were really hit hard by the recent Brian Michael Bendis stuff, huh? If that's one of your primary inspirations.
Yeah. I get the moment Bendis turned Bobby Drake gay. I mean, like it's like, yeah, dude, I'm sort of done with you. So for the record, Ultimate Spider-Man, Alias, and his Daredevil run are amazing, and I will hear no words saying otherwise.
I will say this. I have known a lot of the gay community to be very against Iceman being gay. I'm just saying the straight people like it, but the gay people don't.
Now what does that say?
Yeah,
what does that say?
God. It's like, Bendis, maybe you should shut up.
Yeah. But to sort of get that, I mean, like you kind of know, I think you guys can sort of pick on there's sort of a theme there. Like I don't know how from what's your level of familiarity with like I don't know I'll with the exception of the Celtic mythology, because I don't know if you guys really study that stuff.
I haven't studied it, but I've read a little Irish history, and I think I read a book about Finn McCool or however. But I'm not.
That's my boy.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that, but
I'll just say like.
Go ahead.
why don't you guys just tell me, like, what's your level of familiarity with, like, say, Bleach, Fully Cooley, or Ultimate Spider-Man?
Quite well. I was a weeb.
I know next to nothing about Bleach, but the other two I know quite a bit about.
Ultimate Spider-Man, I think I read a massive book collecting like the first 50 issues of it. But I think Best Buy used to put it, someone put it out, but maybe it was Barnes & Noble put out this beautiful Ultimate edition of that. Yeah, so I've read a good chunk of that. I've watched like the first 2 episodes of Bleach, and it's on the list of anime I want to watch sometime, but I've also hear a lot of people throw shade at it and say that it kind of spirals.
Everything after Soul Society never happened.
There we go. See, that makes me realize.
Yep.
So how do you distill those things? Like I call it story.
Well, like I said, it kind of came from me wanting this. Like, I kind of realized, like, I had to get in this, like, teenage headspace, so I just went back and looked at things that made an impact at me at that age, and I remember just consuming those 3 things in like vast quantities. Like I liked Bleach just because it was, at that time I kind of soured on Naruto. I wasn't interested in One Piece. This was kind of the hip alternative for me.
Yeah.
Fully Cooley just, well, how does that not make an impact on you? There's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in, because I'll have different things I'll like for different reasons. And it seems like when you try to combine those together in your imagination, you can't really, like, there's no model to combine things.
There is. No, there is. That's not. It's like, I'll be honest. I mean, like, truthfully, I honestly don't feel like I've been in control of the story anymore. Like, it feels like it's gotten away from me completely. Yeah. I'm just taking dictation at this point.
Reminds me, go ahead.
But yeah, what I was getting at is, like, you can kind of see that with those 3, there's sort of like a through line, sort of like something that can kind of switch between tones, like between being humorous, between being emotional, being action packed, all 3. You have all 3 of those in Bleach, Ultimate Spider-Man, and Fully Cooley. Some have one of them more than the others. There's, like, with Fully Cooley, it definitely leans more with more humor. But, like, I mainly looked at those just because I wanted to get back into that teenage headspace I used to be in. And hell, I mean, like, even I would say Fully Cooley says, I mean, like, you've seen that rough sketch I have of Maev.
I have not yet.
Let me pull it out of my Google Drive. I know Nerd Wonder has. Dante has.
Are you going to be the artist for Changelings, or are you
like
concept artist?
No. I am not the artist. I am strictly writer. I'm working with someone else. There we go.
All right.
Yeah, you see it?
Hey. So, are you the artist for this concept art, or is that the artist you're working with?
That's the artist I tapped.
Sweet. I dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you see? Now, she's never seen Fully Cooley, but can you see? Doesn't it kind of remind you of Haruko a little bit?
Yeah, it does. The hair and the eyes. It's specifically the eyes and the face.
Yeah.
And just kind of her stance. So yeah. Got that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you show us a picture to illustrate your writing process, because it's sort of like the picture reflects that inspiration as much as your.
Not just that. Well, not just that. I mean, like, my artist has actually kind of added things into Maev I didn't even consider. I don't want to go into too much detail because that's not what it's about. But yeah, I've even kind of noticed that I've even come up with ideas for, like, little mini arcs that are a lot more silly and off the wall. Like, one involves Maev and Regina from Ragaski from Rags just hopping through different cartoon universes a la Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's just like these little things I'll throw in every now and again, just through its run, hopefully, where I can just do something that's a bit more, it's got more levity, something that's a bit more off the walls, just so it doesn't have to be like so it doesn't just like have to be like feel like it's locked in like one lane all the time. Now, this is something you got to do in small doses, because too much of this and people are it could probably like I want to say come off tone deaf or come off like schizophrenic.
Right. Brett, you said something earlier that kind of clicked with me, and I think I'd like to hear what Nerd Wonder has to say. You mentioned how you kind of like it starts telling itself, like you're not like saying I am going to write a story with. You're just writing a story and getting into it. And what that reminded me of is Charles Schultz talking about how he would write comic strips by imagining his characters talking, and he would stop when he would imagine them saying something funny. So he wouldn't come to it by saying I need to tell a joke about this. He just sort of let the characters play act until he got something. And it's a Nerd Wonder. You draw a lot. I wonder if I don't know if you click with that sort of Charles Schultz description of creating.
I usually yeah, he stops when he's. It's always a little bit different for everybody, and sometimes a pencil do it all. It sounds weird, but sometimes I'm just running a blank and I'll start drawing. But usually when I draw a comic or a little skit thing, I see it in my head first. Like the whole entire thing plays out. I know how everything goes.
Yeah, I think it would go without saying there's no right way to do this.
Though it is good to think about how you naturally get into that creative mindset. Like, I don't think it's good for artists to be too meta and constantly like saying, "Oh, I need to like imitate these, top 10 great writer artists." But I think it is good to think a little bit about how you sort of click on the imaginations. You're going to get into the habit of doing it.
Yeah, I can actually agree with you. I mean, like, there's a YouTuber I watched by the name of Coach Red Pill. He has a video about James Joyce. How familiar are you with his work?
Trying to remember. I know the name, but I don't know if I've actually ever read any of James Joyce. He wrote Ulysses. Okay, my high school teacher didn't make me read Ulysses. They made me read some other, great American classic.
Well, James Joyce was Irish.
All right, sorry.
Well, the point he was getting across in that video was like when he was a young man, he wanted to be like James Joyce because James Joyce's works are full of all these clever word plays and sentence structures and metaphors and blah 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 blah. But as he got older, he found out they lack humanity. And these are books that are made to be studied by academics, and he prefers guys like Dostoevsky or Solzhenitsyn, who, while probably not as refined as James Joyce in their prose, they come off feeling more human.
Yeah. That's intriguing. You're contrasting language use and sophistication with heart, I think. And heart is what clicks with people almost on like a subconscious level, on a level where we can't even describe why this thing is powerful to us.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what's about the I guess it's like the difference between, I guess, just because I don't have a better example, it's the difference between like Mr. Marvel and Alan Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Like you read Alan Moore's stuff, and this stuff is like full of like clever. It's like full of a lot of clever work in it. But like Mr. Marvel's is just there's real heart in it what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like reading it. I mean, like I still have like my copy of Watchmen. I still love that book. It's great in one. Like any comic, like every comic fan has to read that thing at least once, I would say.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think Watchmen is my favorite thing from Alan Moore, and he's often hit or miss for me. I like Watchmen and I like A Killing Joke. But yeah. I cannot stand V for Vendetta. I hate V for Vendetta so much. This might make you feel guilty because I have it on good authority that Mike and Jay from The Daily Show on TRS hate it too. Well, I don't watch The Daily Show. No, I'm guessing the reason they hate it is because it's Alan Moore taking 1984 essentially, and he's flipping the political affiliation. 1984 is about socialists becoming the tyrannical, dominant Stalin-style power, and Moore makes it sort of like Margaret Thatcher conservatives are the fascists. And now, wait a second, I thought the Daily Show they didn't like conservatives was the whole point of that. So the
whole point was them just to be a white nationalist version of Opie and Anthony. But yeah, they did. But yeah, you're right about that. But no, they actually do like some comic book stuff, like some of the old Marvel stuff. But they do not like V for Vendetta, and it's for the exact reason you think it is.
What? No way.
So you know who the Daily Show are, right? Nerd Wonder.
Yeah, I used to watch them when I was a young teenager in college.
Wow, I thought Sam. It was an edgelord. DJ, are you hearing this?
I am.
I mean, I'm just joking around with like I don't know many people that can really consider it interesting anymore. Like I used to go to them for a quick, brief summary of the news because they would go to all these random things, and of course, family will either will only choose two channels, which is Fox News and CNN, and I'm like, both you guys are so biased.
Oh, you're talking about the Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
I don't know any other Daily Show.
Okay, the Daily Show.
I said Daily Show.
All right. So we need to clarify this, Nerd Wonder, or the SJWs are going to be all over you.
Oh my God, we're gonna meme Nerd Wonder to being a fucking white nationalist.
I don't even know what the hell.
The Daily Show is like an infamous. I don't know them because I don't watch them, but are they alt right? Are they alt right?
They consider themselves the alt right podcast.
All right. So Showa is a reference. Showa is a reference to like the destruction, a bunch of Jews getting killed, essentially. So they're playing. It's like a Holocaust joke. Is what the whole point of their show.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, creepy SJWs, Nerd Wonder, and I don't listen to the Daily Show.
Neither do I.
I don't even know what the hell that is. I thought you were talking about like Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
I was not. I said Mike Enoch. Like I thought that gave it away, man.
I don't know who Mike Enoch is. I thought he was the new guy on Daily Show because Jon Stewart.
That's Trevor. That's Trevor Noah. Mike Enoch is like one of the big voices in the alt-right. Like
I don't know names.
All right. So we started this out kind of with, the satire idea, right? And you had like the virgin conservative versus Chad fascist. And I read something like that as someone saying, I'm not a fascist, but I'm going to have a laugh by kind of being naughty and pretending I'm a fascist. But then there's also this aspect of meme culture where I think there are some literal fascists running around. That's what 1488 was. 1488 was supposed to be a joke where almost no one would know what 1488 was until you did some research and you figured out that it's like code for the 14 words in Heil Hitler. So do you have a take on that? Because I tend to see the alt-right as pretty minor and insignificant. Do you think that that's going to be like a significant thing?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, first you got to consider like where a lot of memes come out of. Like
4chan.
Everyone knows where.
4chan.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've got it on good authority that a lot of alt-right guys hang around the Chan boards.
It makes sense because 4chan was sort of like the place you go if you're anonymous and you want to talk about anything until that blew up too, and they had some of their own issues. But yeah, it makes sense that a place like 4chan would attract people like the alt-right. But then people on the left will say 4chan is alt-right. Anyone who likes a Pepe the Frog meme, they're alt-right too. So it's sort of like the left's tendency to overreact is what gives a lot of the sort of naughty, spicy memes their power. They become funny.
And that's where I come in with the satire bit, because they provoke that strong visceral gut reaction out of people. These things are meant to be provocative. They're meant to be offensive. offensive. I'm not saying art can't do those things, but it's not like that's. That's more. But this seems more like memes fall within the realm of satire than they do art. Although you can probably make an argument that satire in itself is an art form.
Well, because they could be different things. Like a work of art could be satirical. I think Michelangelo's got a portrait of someone he didn't like in hell on the Last Judgment, and it's like he's got donkey ears and he's being his yeah. So, oh yeah, look it up. Look for like donkey ear guy on the Last Judgment, and so that's like a. There's some great stuff about the Last Judgment. When the Last Judgment got censored, there was originally everyone was nude in the Last Judgment, and there was a guy who was like looking at a woman who was bending over, and so after people objected to that, they put clothes on the woman and they changed the guy's head position so it looked like he was looking away from her rather than right at her. But my point is that Michelangelo could use something like satire in the context of painting. So you could say there's an art to satire where you kind of have to strike a good balance to it. But I almost see it as a different thing where you can have an artwork that is satirical or not satirical at all. You could have a work of satire that has nothing to do with traditional works of art, but they can also overlap sometimes.
I can see your point, yeah.
So So you kind of helped us get back to like our memes art, because we got into everything for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, like we almost. I think I would be surprised if I would not be surprised if the string gets flagged for the places we went at this episode.
Well, so would you say, Brett, that your takeaway is because memes are satire, that makes it hard for you to categorize them as art?
I don't know. I mean, like it's. Because the problem with that is like art is it's kind of a nebulous term in of itself, because there's like no agreed upon definition of what makes art.
Which is one of the things that's of interest to me, is I kind of look at this whole thing as an example of the postmodernists winning a little bit. Like when we talk about our video games art, our comic books art, we're using art in a way that kind of reflects the broad definition of art rather than the old narrow definition of art.
Yeah, well, I think within video games case, I mean, like it was a post by Razorfist where he talked about like how, I think it was on his Tumblr. He said,
Tumblr?
Yes, he has a Tumblr. You can find it through his channel.
That's weird.
Yeah, well, on his Tumblr, I think he put up a post about like how video games aren't art because they don't have artistic aspirations. They're not looking to be art.
They're looking to be commercial successes. They're looking to be games.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good, the ultimate question to ask. Like, if memes are art, are they seeking to be art? Because I mean, like a thing that a lot of people do agree upon what makes a great work of art is that it does stand the test of time. And a lot of memes, they tend to come and go with like, what's a meme's lifespan? A month?
I mean, some last longer than a month. Some of them last, like, how long did Long Cat last?
That still shows up from time to time.
Yeah, like it's the everlasting memes. Like what? Ceiling Cat and Long Cat like last incredibly long. Confession Bear is still used. And sometimes Advice Mallard.
Boy, I haven't seen Advice Mallard in a while. Actual Advice Mallard, yeah.
Words to find Advice Mallard, I guess.
Advice Mallard, I have to look that one up because I am not familiar with him.
He literally just gives good advice.
Yeah, and then there's the alternative to it, which is Bad Choice Duck or something like that. I
think I recognize this.
Like the socially awkward penguin with the socially.
You could almost say that socially awkward and socially awesome penguin is a precursor to Virgin Chad. They're both about contrasting antisocial behavior with like hypersocial behavior.
their versions were about yourself, I believe. Like Socially Awkward Penguin was always something about your very own self.
Right.
Like Success Kid with
Oh yeah, that guy.
Who got cancer
Oh.
and got raised funds because of the Success Kid. Me.
yeah. And then there were memes out there that says dad had cancer and used me to beat cancer.
Oh, and then there's that one with the little girl looking at a burning building and she just
yeah,
smiles.
that one's great.
I used that one. I used that one in an Anarchy vid. I did. I just put a V for Vendetta mask on her.
There was what the history. I went and looked at the origin of that one. Apparently, that was the firefighters were putting on a show. Like that's a fake house where the firefighters train, and they were showing it to all these people. And the dad takes a picture of his daughter.
I'll be honest. I've actually dug up the history behind some memes, and they're actually pretty fascinating. Like, are you guys familiar with Ann Hero?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Ann Hero is an old MySpace meme, Nerd Wonder.
Oh shit.
And it came from a guy's suicide note.
Oh my god! Did he die?
I think he did.
Oh my god! It's so awful. What the fuck? Ann Hero? Was that his name or something?
No, Ann Hero as in it's A-N Hero.
Someone mistyped. Why? So there was a typo while describing his death, and so people spread the typo as a way of saying like kill yourself. I heard about it through Encyclopedia Dramatica.
I love it. I love that site. It's the best. There are only two sites on the internet that only print factual information: Encyclopedia Dramatica and Kiwi Farms.
Oh god, the Kiwi is scary though. They have a whole entire thread about our community. Yeah. Like, hey there. Oh, fuck.
Have they dug up any dirt on you guys?
No. They go for spurgs. And from what I know, they keep an eye out because rumor has it they like to be even on the playing field. And we've given all the anti-comic skaters have given a lot of lol cows, and they're waiting for the perfect lol cow on our side. Like they are on the hunt, from what I heard. And I'm like, oh god, no.
I searched my name on Kiwi Farms because I just wanted to see who is following me, and I've only shown up once when I drew Baby Bones in like his green G-string swimsuit. They liked my drawing of Baby.
I love all your drawings, by the way. I think they're adorable, especially the ones where you draw with your students, like the imaginary friend adventure things.
I love those. Yeah. Yes. I want to do some more of those because a lot of those illustrate how little kids create stories, and they're often so hilarious. I get inspiration from those kind of things because kids will just come up with an idea and they'll roll with it, and it'll be hilarious, but it'll work. Sweet.
Yeah, I don't. Good news, I don't come up. Oh shit, I do.
Well, you were a bigger deal before I was, so I'm not surprised you come up a few times.
I clicked on it. I was like, do I come up? Like, I just wrote my name and I had to put a space in between. I'm like, I'm not that big. All I'm known for is one time yelling at Tim Doyle and scolding him.
Oh man, oh man, I think my thing from last night's gonna end up on their radar sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm not on there. They don't talk about me. I'm not cool enough. I'm just this weird cat person.
Some attention from the internet is not good. It's not true that all publicity is good publicity.
Well, yeah, you definitely I mean, like if you've ended up on Kiwi Farms or Encyclopedia Dramatica, at least 9 times out of 10, it's not good. Like there's only 5 people on Encyclopedia Dramatica who actually have positive articles about them. Like one is Socrates, Hunter S. Thompson, Dick Masterson, and a couple others whose names I can't remember.
Remind me of what the deal with Dick Masterson was, because I used to hear his name coming up
He used to do a podcast with Maddox back in the day called "The Biggest Problem in the Universe," but Maddox torched that. If you want if there's so much to that story, I'll just link you the video that Easy Peasy did on it.
And Medicre's covered that too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Point is, like, there was a whole back and forth between them after they went their separate ways, and then there was a lawsuit. Maddox lost, and I'm pretty sure by this time next year he won't be showing his face in public again.
Rough. There's almost kind of a parallel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I didn't hear about the lawsuit.
Oh no, I'm not kidding. Like, Maddox actually tried to sue Dick and several other people that he was friends with, all to the tune of $20 million.
Wait, that sounds familiar. I think I heard about that. Oh, the hiccups.
Well, we've been giggling a lot this episode, so that's to be expected.
I'm gonna have to duck out in a couple minutes, ma'am.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, then if that's the case, well, we've gone on for like an hour. That's actually good. That's actually a good spot to like get our closing thoughts on this.
All right. Well,
I'll Marmaduke and Nerd Wonder, you guys are the guests, so you guys get to go first.
Oh, thank you.
I'll just say thanks, Brett. I appreciate you having me and Nerd Wonder on. This convo was a blast.
Oh yeah, despite the sharp left turns it took,
or sharp alt right turns it took too.
Where we almost. I'm not gonna say it just because I don't want that to actually get memed into existence, because Nerd Wonder's too pure for that.
Yeah.
I have the names, as we already know. I have the Sarah Huckabee. What did we call it? Like,
but you do not deserve to be memed as a crypto fascist. You're too good for that.
That is really stupid.
Who did the meme? SGW Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, I think it was him. He doesn't like me because I always am like, friendship, and he's like, no, you're a loser, whatever. Friendship. He's like, you're a moron. Friendship. Yeah. Good news. I'm not on Kiwi Farms. I think the only time I've ever been there was they took a picture of when I yelled at somebody. Because I have nerd in my name, it just pops up.
Okay, so yeah, Dinte, what do you want? What's on your mind for this?
No, I think it was an interesting show, and it was good to have you both as guests, and hopefully you'll come back one day. It was a really fun show this week.
Awesome, and I want to chat with you guys about the blah blah blah. Oh, your project. What's your project name?
Yeah.
Changeling. I want to talk
That's
about
me. It's just me. Dinte does his own thing when we're not podcasting.
All right. Well, Dean, hit me up. Hit me up when your own thing is like near the point where you want to share it with people, and we could chat about it on my channel.
Yeah. Well, mostly I haven't done videos in a while, but I did try to restart a series last year when I was like looking at the history of like animated stories and where they got their inspirations or what connections it is to missing legends and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he's got a good one on Elfin Lied.
Brilliant.
I never liked Elfin Lied.
It's shocking.
I don't think anyone with a soul would.
I know people that like it. They're like, I really like Elfin Lied.
I can only look at it as like something ugly that's trying to say something beautiful in spite of the ugliness, because the violence is ugly.
It's gore. It's gore porn.
Yeah, it was like, look at me, I'm a magical Neko girl and get raped, and then I explode a person's head off. But you'll forgive me because I go meow meow and I have amnesia. What is this? Some 5-year-old's fan fiction RP thing on online, a live journal? Fuck this shit.
I think we can all agree Berserk was better.
Oh my god, yes.
Yep.
That has a lot of rape in it too.
Yeah, except written well, that sounds really disturbing, but I mean, like, So does many other things like Game of Thrones and stuff, and we still enjoy it.
It's in the
up until season 5.
Okay, yeah.
I don't watch that trash. I read the books, and I'm tired of the books too. After about book 4,
I'm starting to notice a pattern there.
What? That I don't watch that trash? That I don't watch?
No. That's George R. R. Martin stuff seems to go downhill after 4.
Yeah, he is a brilliant mind who is getting too obsessed with the details of his universe rather than the immersive story of his universe, I think. So he's going to change fantasy fiction forever because people are going to model themselves after him. But
I feel that's not. I don't feel it's going to be for the better because I've heard that there are some people who watch Game of Thrones and think, yeah, that's what it was like in medieval times.
Yeah, he modeled a little bit off of history, but just because there was atrocities in history, that doesn't mean that there was atrocities happening every Sunday at 5 o'clock. There was another atrocity at the court.
You know what? I think I know the perfect way we can exit this episode. It is with another Virgin Chad meme, and it is going to be quite apropos. In fact, let me pull it up.
Virgin Martin Chad Tolkien.
Damn you! You ruined it. But whatevs. I'll show it anyway.
We all knew it was coming.
I'll show it anyway. Yep.
Vests and pipes need to make a comeback.
Oh.
I have seen that one. So good.
That one's too small. That one is way too small, but yeah. Nerd Wonder, Marmaduke, you guys have anything you guys want to plug before you go?
I'll just say I'm #1 Marmaduke fan everywhere. I've got a channel where I talk a lot about art and SGW politics, and I'm working on a comic. I'm a really slow drawer, but I'll have a comic coming down maybe later this year. That should I hope will knock you guys' socks off.
Nerd Wonder?
And hi, I'm Nerd Wonder. I'm known as the Nerd Wonder on YouTube, but your Nerd Wonder on Twitter. And right now I am helping John Malin with his Indiegogo Graveyard Shift. I will be writing the companion piece Ashcan. So go check that out.
And
that sounds awesome.
$50 tier. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna write it, I'm drawing it. Sorry. I draw cute shit.
All right, awesome, possum. We'll call it good. Thanks for showing up, all you beautiful people, and be with us. Hopefully, be with us next week, and hopefully, we will get these two lovely people on again.
Yay.
Thank you very much.